Hi Virgo, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol, and this is going to be a general reading for you, and there's no date in my reading because I trust that when it comes into your feed, it's meant for you. And in today's reading, I'm going to be using the old style tarot, and then I'm going to be clarifying that with the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. And we're going to be doing a reading called Embrace Your Anger. I've had a number of new subscribers on my channel, and I also know that maybe some of you aren't aware of my background and why I actually started my tarot channel in the first place. So when I started my tarot channel, I always wanted my channel to be something that was healing and that would help my viewers go on their own personal journey, their own healing journey to get back to their authentic self. I myself have complex trauma, and I am a survivor of sexual abuse and trafficking in my own family. And through the last almost 8 years that I've been healing intensively, healing my own shadow, healing everything that I've repressed, all my memories from childhood, they're all repressed. And I've really come to find out how powerful anger is in our life, how powerful of an emotion it is if you can understand how it works in your own life. For me, anger has been an emotion that I have used in a very ungrounded way before my intensive therapy. I'm a retired teacher of 30 years in Canada, and I also have 3 adult children that I've raised, and I used my anger quite a bit in both of those situations, but it wasn't a grounded anger. It was a very ungrounded anger. And I've come to learn that when you repress your anger, when you push it down, it spills out over, around people that are safe to you. And unfortunately, they're the ones that we hurt the most. And the reason why I suppressed my anger was because I was taught by my abusers in my life to not use my anger. And I was actually shown in a number of ways what would happen to me if I used my anger. And so I had this incredible fear around ever using my anger. And I was taught to put it away and to never, ever take it out. And so it was definitely an emotion that was repressed in me. It was very ungrounded. And after when you do rage and you have these explosions, you can't understand where it's coming from because you just know it's not you. And so I had to learn in my intensive therapy to use my anger again. It was not something I wanted to touch because I was absolutely petrified to use it because I know deep down what was going to happen to me if I tried to use it. And so as I worked through a lot of my memories, and I continue to work through my memories, I had to incorporate anger at the people that hurt me. And I did it through my journaling, and that's how I got to my anger, was through my journaling. And that's how I released my grounded anger so that my own anger is no longer in a place where I'm going to rage at people. I just know that because I've grounded my anger. And so this reading is really a reading for you to learn to start to recognize what pattern or situation is creating anger in your own life right now. And a lot of times we're not aware of it, but we just know that, there might be this anger brewing underneath. And sometimes we don't even think we have anger, and it continues to spill out on other people. And that will really definitely tell us that we have some ungrounded anger. I want to look at how your own ungrounded anger is manifesting in your life, in your daily life, how you're seeing it. And that'll be really important for me to bring awareness to that for you. And then I want to look at, what are you afraid of will happen if you express your anger? And finally, I'm going to look at how you can begin to release or express your anger in a grounded way. So I'm going to ask for some advice from the tarot, and then I'll give you a little bit of my own advice at the end. I might give you a playlist from my other channel, Carol Cares, where I've put out some information on anger. I have some excellent videos that I've put out, and so you can take a look at those to help you out. So let's get right to your reading. I'm going to ask the tarot for one card for what pattern situation is creating anger in your life right now. So if I can just have one card for Virgo. Ooh, one card flipped. Here it is. Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles. And next I'm going to ask for, how does your repressed or ungrounded anger manifest itself in your daily life right now for Virgo? One card on how Virgo's repressed anger is manifesting in their life right now. One card for that. And you have the Queen of Cups. What are you afraid of will happen? What are you afraid will happen if you express your anger? What fears come up for you? What are you afraid of if you express your anger? One card flipped, and I think, yeah, that was it. You have the Seven of Cups. And finally, how can you begin to release or express your anger in a grounded way? One card for that. How can Virgo begin to release or express their anger in a grounded way? One card, please. This bit right here takes the longest. It actually depends on what deck I use. I find this one I've used a few times, and it's a little bit tough getting the answers out for this one. So when I get it out, it's like, this must be the card, because it really sometimes takes a bit. There it is. Oh, there it is. All right, you have the Nine of Swords. How can you begin to release or express your anger? Okay, now my clarifiers will definitely come out a lot faster. So let's have a couple cards for the Three of Pentacles here. You'll see me often use this Radiant right away because it's awesome for coming out quickly. You have the Temperance card in reverse, and I want another card, please, for this Three of Pentacles. Oh, that one wanted to come out. Then Seven of Wands in reverse. One of my favorite cards in the deck. I should know what it is. And I shouldn't forget it, because when I first started doing this years ago, and this card came out, not years ago, I shouldn't say, year ago, and it was my favorite card at the time, and it came out on a reading. I had to stop the camera because I just couldn't think of what it was. It was my favorite card, and I know what this is. So anyway, I think of that every time I pull that card out. Queen of Cups. And that's why when I stumbled on it again, I went, what are you doing? All right, we got two here. So we have the Seven of Swords in reverse, and we have the Three of Cups in reverse. And Seven of Cups over here. So, yeah, okay. What's the Seven of Swords? I thought it was the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups right here. A couple cards, please, for that. Couple cards for that. Woo! Wanting to come out, but there are times when I put this on speed shuffle, but sometimes I like to do this just to show you, you know, my process, even if it's going to take a bit. I'm not sure I want all of these cards. Whoops. Maybe this is what it wants. It's got the King of Wands here. It was sideways, actually. Ten of Pentacles. I'm going to take them all. The Hermit in reverse. And the Four Cups in reverse. Sometimes it's a story, and I think sometimes it just needs to be told. So we need to take them And then 2 more here for the 9 of Swords. And like I said, this deck doesn't spit out usually 3-4 cards in a row here, so there we go. We got 2. Just what I wanted to finish it off. The Page of Pentacles and the High Priestess. So we're going to begin with looking at what pattern situation is creating anger in your life for Virgo. Start off with the 3 of Pentacles. And 3 of Pentacles, the number 3, first of all, is a number of co-creation. And this particular card I look at, because this is a healing channel, it's about your healing journey, back to your authentic self. This is my card of therapy. And it's a card that says, either, you know, it's time to get back into therapy. Sometimes if it depends on where it comes in the deck. Like if it's at the last part where it's sort of like the advice from the tarot, I'll say there's like a need for it. But because there's a situation in your life going on right here, I'm understanding that I think you're struggling. You're struggling with, do I need to go back into therapy? Maybe you've been in it before. Maybe you've never tried it. Like, I can't believe sometimes, and I don't mean to be mean, but it's just like there are people that have gone through their entire life without having a single session of therapy. And I know therapy used to be one of those things where you didn't talk about it, you know, right? It was like, oh, she's got problems, or, you know, they got problems, whatever. But it's just something I think we all need, especially if we're on this healing journey. So you're struggling with it. And I'm, you know, and that's where, and maybe you know that your anger, there's something around your anger, but there's definitely a need for you to go back. And maybe you realize that maybe, yeah, I have this anger. I've got this anger that's kind of repressed, or maybe you're getting angry at people that you don't want to get angry at, like I talked in my introduction. Or so there's something around anger, and you're thinking that maybe you need to go back. And I think also that, you know, there's this fear of you. The Temperance card comes out in reverse. Real resistance on your part here. You can see this angel dipping their toe into the water. And the Temperance card is a major arcana card. So it's like this universal force here and you can feel it. Like, I think you're feeling that you're not willing, there's this big resistance on your part, this fear even to dip your toe into the water. And the water is our emotions. Every time you see water in a card, it represents your emotions, and they're meant to flow, right? They're meant to flow in, you process them, and they flow out. But there's this real fear on your part to get at your anger, to look at where it's coming from and what it means. And, you know, we can go back, oscillate between our anger and our fear, right? Because this fear will come up as soon as you want to, you know, you decide that, you know, I want to get into look at my anger a bit and maybe find out, you know, what it is and why I have it in whatever form it's coming in for you. It can sometimes create this fear. Your ego will come up and go, oh my God, you're not going there. Don't you dare touch this anger. And that's where all our messages from childhood are going to come up. And those are very important to get to. And so, yeah, there's this fear on your part to even dip in your toe and even to looking at your fear. And then you get the 7 of Wands in reverse. And in an upright, this is, like I said, this is my favorite card, because in an upright position, this reminds me of myself when I first got on my healing journey, intensive healing. I've been in and out of therapy all my life, but almost 8 years ago, I finally found the right therapist to help me out with what I thought was sexual abuse that I had, and I wasn't sure. I had a flashback, and from that point, it's been, you know, a real journey to finally get back into therapy and find the right therapist. And I had the support. she gave me the support. She validated me. And this is what this card is about. It reminds of me being there and all these people below trying to pull me down. And that's what happened to me with my family of origin. It was like, no, you come back down off that pedestal. You're not talking. You're not saying anything. And that's what I'm thinking. You're fearing. You're really fearing because I don't think maybe you know that you're not going to be validated. Maybe you know there's people around you that they're not going to accept. Maybe you're not feeling the support right now. And I think that's why maybe you're looking at, another reason why you're looking at, maybe I need to go back into therapy because I don't have the support that I need right now, or you're looking for it, or you're fearing going back into therapy because you think that, there's some people around you that might not support you. So how does your repressed or your ungrounded anger manifest itself? How is it showing up for you? Because when we shove down our anger, it's going to come out sideways. So let's look at how it's coming out for you. We start off with the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups, the Queen of my deck, is the feminine side. And I mean, she's raising her glass. She's very much, her cup, I should say. She's very much, the cups are about emotions. So the Queen of Cups is someone that's very much in touch with her emotions. She makes all her decisions from her emotions. She's very much someone who lives in her body. This is the feminine side. It doesn't matter what gender you are. We all have a feminine, we have a masculine side. And I'm just looking to see if there's a king that has come out. There's a King of Wands that's coming out for you. Your king is your masculine, is your ego self, your masculine side. And so I'm thinking that right now you are very much in your feels. You're very much feeling a lot of emotions, and not just like, you're just very confused about all these emotions that are coming out. And when we try to block our anger, we can, there's going to be some clarification here, and maybe I'm speaking ahead of myself, but we can really, and I think I am, we can really defend our anger, block it with some other emotions, because that is, if we're not supposed to go to that anger, if there's a fear of ours that, around anger, we will block it, right? And so I'm seeing here that you have some emotions that are quite conflicting. Your emotions are out, and which is a good thing. It's a very good thing. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you're too sensitive. People that tell you that you are too sensitive are trying to block you, are trying to shut you up. And because being too sensitive means you're feeling and you're healing, and that's what emotions are for, to feel. Right underneath these emotions is the Seven of Swords card. And the Seven of Swords speaks about, in an upright position, it talks about, it's called the Thief card. And the sword energy is about our mental thoughts, the opinions we have about ourselves, the things that we were told by our caretakers when we were younger. And he's running away with 5 swords here, and 2 of them are left behind. These are the ones that you've stolen. These are the mental thought that you've stolen, inherited from your caretakers. It's like these are the mental things that you believe, and this is what's really doing you in here. And I think when you were younger, I think you might have been called things like, I don't know why the sensitive thing is coming up here. Maybe you are someone that was called when they were younger a sucky baby. Definitely weren't allowed to express your anger. And so you right now continue to believe and tell yourself these thoughts, these same thoughts in your head that came from the people that tried to shut your anger down or tried to shut your emotions down. And you continue to say these things to yourself. And maybe that's part of, that's why your emotions are all over the place, especially if you're continuing to be up in your head and you're telling yourself all these things and you're not grounded in your body so you can actually feel and know what it is that's coming up for you. The Three of Cups comes in as a final card here for How is your anger manifesting in your life right now? The Three of Cups in an upright position is very much another 3 here. So you have two significant 3 cards, the Three of Pentacles and now the Three of Cups. And like I said, it's all about co-creation. This particular card is 3 feminine energies that are celebrating, right? Lifting up their cups to their emotions. They're celebrating that feminine side of yours, which is that emotional side, that side that is allowed to come through. It's allowed for, you know, it says we're allowed to feel, we're supposed to feel. That's how we heal. But you're not celebrating that. You're very much, like, I think you're kind of maybe pushing a lot of those emotions down because that's what you were taught to do, you know, put those emotions away. You're not allowed to have them. And so you're here very conflicted because you have emotions that are coming up. Your feminine side is trying to break through. And yet there's this fear that's going, no, which is the masculine side we're going to get to next here. That's kind of going, put those away, because that's the one, it's the ego part of us that protects us, right? That did when we were younger. Keeps us up in our head so we don't feel. All our emotions are in our body. Next, what are you afraid of that will happen if you express this anger that is coming up? It's one of your emotions that you need to express. And what are you afraid of? Well, here's the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups is, in an upright position, is a card of, I mean, look at the third eye. Look what this card is, if you can see it closely. Do you see how all these beautiful, it's actually the feminine energy, actually, that these feminine figures that are pouring this water, these emotions into your third eye, into your knowing, into your intuition. That is what your third eye is. It's like this deep knowing deep down, right? But it's in reverse. And so I think you are petrified that you're going to get to some sort of deep knowing that about you, about your authentic self and who you really are, that's buried deep in your unconscious, is what this card is telling me. I usually read this card as a card of dissociation. But this time it's just reading differently. I was called to this is really amazing what I got out of this card. And so I think you're very much afraid that you're going to get to some information, that there's going to be something there if you start to dig a little bit deeper and start to feel this anger. And so let's get some clarification, because this is the big story that's sitting underneath this, and this is going to tell us a bit more about where your fear, and we've already established that there's some fear going on. Where is your fear coming from? Well, first of all, we start off with the King of Wands, and he was sideways here. There's your masculine self. That's your ego. That's your scared part. Our ego is a petrified part. It's holding the wand, and the wand is our creative, fiery energy. It's the one that will take us to our true, authentic self, our true purpose, to go in the direction that we were always meant to go in. You know, believe it or not, we knew when we came on this planet what we were supposed to do and what direction we were supposed to go into. But there is this part of you, your ego self, that is blocking, and it's sitting at the front of everything because it's a petrified part. Like I said, if you have all these emotions that are coming up and you're all over the place, and definitely your anger's here, that ego self will come out and just block it. And what it does is it keeps you up in your head, keeps you spinning in your head. You know, all these thoughts right here, the Seven of Swords card that came up. That card that keeps telling yourself all these things that you were told when you were younger. That's your ego self. You sucky baby. Don't you dare take out that anger. Why are you crying so much? Go sit in the corner. You were bad. You showed your anger. You showed this emotion. And you'll hear all these things. And your ego self will keep repeating those. our ego really sounds like our caretakers. I often hear messages that my abuser said to me when I was younger, and it'll be from my ego. And then what comes behind that is why is, it's interesting because you need to know, why is there such a fear here about, why is the ego wanting to block you going inwards and trying to find out, what this anger is, or feeling your anger? Because I think we've already established with the Seven of Cups that there's definitely a real block here and a fear that you're going back to your authentic self. Well, and that you might find something out, is what I said. Well, here's the Ten of Pentacles. And the Ten of Pentacles is a very powerful card in my deck because it's the healing journey. And it talks about, I love, like, first of all, if you look at this, it has a portrayal of 3 generations. It has the old man at the front, very wise man with his colorful coat of all the zodiac signs on it. And then you have, maybe some of his children right here, and then his grandchildren right on the side. There's a little guy sticking out at the end. There's even a dog in there. So it's definitely a card of generations, lineage in particular, because you have this design here, this Kabbalistic tree of life on the Ten of Pentacles, which is very important for me for the Ten of Pentacles, because it's the design of the Kabbalistic tree of life. It's a symbol, and it comes from the Jewish tradition. And each node, each pentacle would represent, studies that you would do that would take you back to your lineage, answer some questions about your lineage. And so this is very much a card about generational trauma. I always interpret it as generational trauma on this channel. And so there is some generational trauma. There's some trauma here that's connected to why your ego self is petrified for you to touch your anger. There's something around anger and why you're not allowed to touch it. Something that was handed down from generation to generation, some trauma. And the Hermit card comes right behind that generational trauma card. The Hermit talks about, it's a major arcana card, so it talks about going inwards and going in your body, getting out of your head and grounding back into your body, because that's where all your emotions are, in your body. And it's in reverse here. And so I think what's going on here is that I think if you go inwards, that's the fear. There's this fear of yours that the ego feels like, don't you dare go inwards. Don't you dare go into your body and start to feel some of this, because, there's that generational trauma that's there. And then finally the Four of Cups comes in. And here's this individual with in an upright position, sitting there, and has 3 cups and 1 cup on offer. And look at how they're sitting. They have their arms crossed. So very much a defensive position. Reminds me of the 9 of Cups. And it's like this individual has lined up their 3 cups here and decided, you know what? I've done enough healing. I'm done healing. I don't want to heal anymore. There is something here, I think, I'm going to say it's from your childhood, where you decided at a very young age that it wasn't safe for you to feel. Because here's an offer from the universe. It's like an Ace of Cups. It's like an Ace of Cups is what it is. It's like the universe says, maybe when you were younger, it was just like, I want you just to imagine this, like as if it was the universe was saying, here you go, here's another cup to go deeper, here's another cup to feel again. And it's like you said, no, thanks, I'm shutting down, I've had enough. And you've decided at a very young age to put that away, to not feel anymore. And I think you're petrified. Because when you were younger, you were told not to touch your anger. Don't touch it. And like myself, I was warned what would happen if I touched that anger, if I used it. And so I think there's a real fear here on your part. And that's what you're afraid is going to happen if you do. There's going to be some real disapproval from people around you. And that's what that Seven of Wands talks about, how you're feeling like you're not supported and you have this fear that you won't be supported or validated in what you're about to do. And now I understand why. Because when you were younger, you weren't validated and you weren't supported. And so we can actually feel this fear of, well, when I was younger and I took out these 3 cups, when I was younger and I tried to show my emotions, well, I might have been rejected. I might have been made fun of and humiliated. And then I might have lost people because of that. People would have rejected me and abandoned me. And so you're scared to go there because that might happen again. And so what's the, how can you begin to release or express your anger in a grounded way? Well, here's the 9 of Swords. And this is, wow, this is a card that comes up, the 9 of Swords. Again, it's this individual that has all these 9 of Swords behind them lined up. Look at them all. And it's somebody that's holding their head. And this reminds me, this reminds me of the 7 of Swords, right? This individual that's run away with all these things that they were told when they were younger, and they continue to hear them. This card speaks about a card of, it often, has a person laying in their bed in the Rider-Waite deck where they're actually up at night. And maybe you do have sleep problems, and maybe you have trouble getting to sleep. Maybe you have nightmares, dreams wake you up. Maybe you wake up early in the morning, too early, can't fall back asleep. That happens. And with me, I find that is the ego. That's my ego that's trying to keep me up in my head and trying to protect me and keep me from getting at these memories. This is a memory card for me. This tells me that there's memories coming up. And so I think that there's a real need for you to start to begin to look at, and I think that's why the therapy card's coming out for you, to start to get to some memories of this generational trauma that you're carrying. It's time for you to get to some memories about, how were you warned? Why were you warned? How were you warned when you were younger of what would happen if you took your anger out? And so the next card is a clarifier of that 9 of Swords, is the Pentacles. And the Pentacles, the page, first of all, is an inner child of ours. The pages are the ones that are inner children. And we can have more than one inner child. And in my own intensive healing from my own complex trauma, I've discovered, a few different children that hold different parts of me, different memories, emotions. And this particular inner child is the one of the Pentacle. And the Pentacle is the body. And the Pentacle is the earth element. It talks about being grounded in our body. When you were a young child, your inner child, around 4, 5, 6 years old, you were very grounded. You were very much in your body. But I think what happened was, there was a part of you, like I said, that gave up on feeling your emotions. And when we give up on feeling our emotions when we were younger, we end up back in our head. That's the ego takes us up there, especially if there's some trauma that has happened to us. We will continue to stay in our heads. And this little child, this inner child of yours, needs healing. It needs to be listened to. It needs to be heard, needs to be understood. And I listen to my inner children. I give them a voice to heal them, because to hear them, to heal them, they tell me a lot of my memories. They hold a lot of my memories. And I do that through my journaling. And I'm going to leave you with a playlist at the end on anger. And one of the things that I teach you in the playlist is there's a video on how to journal from your anger. It's really important that you start to journal from the anger you're feeling at people. What is it that you feel, just to get at it? And that is a very safe way to do that. I do it on my computer so that no one else can get into it. I used to do it in a book, but I found that with computer it was safer and I could write so much more. And so I rage on my computer at people. I don't have to send them anything, but that's how I get my anger out, in a very grounded way, and so it doesn't spill out on other people. And journaling's hard. Journaling's really hard. It was, when I started it at first, it was something I didn't want to do. My ego did not want me to go there. And I had to fight and fight. It's a real discipline at the beginning, but now I can't live without it. And then you end with your High Priestess card right underneath that Nine of Swords card. So the High Priestess card talks about, it's a major arcana card, and again, it's a feminine energy. You have a lot of feminine energy coming out with your Queen of Cups, your Three of Cups, celebration of your cups, your feminine side. And she represents, in the major arcana, there are two cards that represent our feminine energy, the feminine part of ourself. And it's the High Priestess, which is number 2. And then number 3 is the Empress. The High Priestess speaks about our intuition, our inner knowing. And I think that when you start to journal from your anger, and you start to listen to that part of you that that knows, that holds the memories around your anger and the messages that they need to tell you, your intuition is going to come through. That's your real inner knowing, because the intuition that's going to come through, it's going to tell you things about your generational trauma that you need to get to. It's very important that we get to our memories. Even if we know some of our memories, it's not enough to know them. We have to process them. We have to process the big emotions around them that these younger inner children hold. And so I'm going to leave you with that playlist, like I said, and I'm also going to leave you with the video on conquering your fear that I did for you last time. So I want you to have compassion for yourself, Virgo, for what you're working through. This journey of healing yourself is a very difficult journey, but it's the most important one of your life. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.